Welcome back. Welcome back to a new episode of the Internal Magic podcast where we got to go in order to get the results that we want, where we have to actually do the work on transformation. Because I told you, we are moving into a new earth frequency. I'm sorry, the earth ain't playing no more. This is spiritual. You see what I'm saying? So as we begin to move forward, we're going to be operating, the earth is going to be operating from a spiritual level. And the only way you can be tapped into that is through the subconscious level. So I know a lot of you has been operating on the conscious level for so long, which is the well the real world or what you see in front of you. But now that's gonna be flipped. That thing finna go from subconscious. It's finna now take the driver's seat. It's finna take the driver's seat now. And if you're still trying to operate on a conscious level, you're gonna be what I tell you in the last video. The earth has a way of dealing with parasites. It has a way of dealing with it. So the only way you're gonna be able to reap the benefits of this new earth frequency of being in the subconscious is now you have to start you will reap the benefits, so you now have to start operating in the subconscious, letting the spirit now take over. I'm telling you, this is the way. This is the way. It ain't no other way. And the way to get through the journey of this is working on yourself, going in, as within, as without. It ain't no getting away with it. I don't care how much you know about star seeds, it's not going to help you. I don't care how much you know about uh, all of the sacred texts, it is not going to help you. It's not. Because the earth is not going to respond to how much knowledge you have. It's going to respond to you based on your internal, which I know is the hardest thing to do, right? A lot of you don't want to face yourself. And because of that, man, the earth is going to inject its own COVID vaccine. Hmm. Hey, you got to get rid of it some kind of way. So tonight, we got the white candle on the altar. You know what I'm saying? Got the smell good incense popping. Got that good fortune still burning, still doing its thing. You know. Well, Marcus, why do you got the candle on your altar? Well, I'll let you know. Because we put everything on our altar that is going to help us in our transformation. Right? So let me read this off real quick. God damn. So it represents purification, protection, peace, clarity, healing, spiritual cleansing, truth, divine guidance, higher consciousness, intuition, wisdom, new beginnings, renewal, balance, harmony, positive energy, removing negativity, setting intentions, meditation, prayer, manifestation, spiritual connection, inner illumination, soul connection, transformation. That's what we all about right here. Internal Magic Podcast. We all about the transformation. Like I said, I don't know why you guys are going over to these other places and trying to absorb this knowledge of this spiritual knowledge, and it is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Not without the internal process being before the not before the internal process is completed. I don't know why you're doing it to yourself, because all you're gonna do is just fall away, and you'll be back up in the that's what you're gonna be doing. Shit. Man, I was keeping it real with you, baby. Like, this is spiritual, man. Like, you know, all the parasites will go. That's just unfortunate the way it is. So, man, let me get into the lesson today, man. don't want to keep clowning. You know what I'm saying? So the message for today, or the lesson for today, is the conscious mind is retiring. It's out of there, while the next version of you lives in the subconscious. Come on now. I'm telling you, man. We gonna have to get way better, you know, because most people think awakening means learning more information. Another book, another podcast, another ritual, another crystal, another tarot deck. But what if I told you awakening isn't about learning something new? It's about remembering something old. Hmm, I wonder what that is. Because what if the version of you that has been trying to survive isn't the version that was meant to lead your life? What if? What if? Maybe you've been living from the wrong floor of your own house. Imagine buying a beautiful 2-story home, and in the living and living in the garage for 40 years. You own the whole house though, but you've only experienced one room. That's how many people live. The conscious mind has been, running the show. Today we're going upstairs. You know what I'm saying? We finna go see if it's a jacuzzi in this mother. You know what I'm saying? For real, Jack. Come on now. The conscious mind is built your survival for all these years. You know, the conscious mind isn't evil. It has a job. Its job is survival. Pay your bills, get to work, watch for danger. Oh shit. That's why you got haters. Remembering appointments, protect. It asks one question every day. How do I make it through the day? If you asking yourself that, that's how you know you operating on a conscious level. Nothing wrong with that, but here's the problem. If survival becomes your identity, you stop living. You only react, wake up, go to work, come home, scroll, sleep, repeat. That's not life. That's maintenance. Think about it, right? Always checking the bank account. Every purchase creates anxiety. Every bill creates fear. Every conversation becomes about money. Why? Because consciousness is glued to what's immediately in front of it. It believes what it sees, it reacts to what it touches. I'm telling you, people, for real, for real. Y'all gonna have to, we gonna have to start getting this together. But you know what? We're gonna do it here. You know, we're gonna do it here together. And that's why you're here. That's why I say all the spiritual gangsters put some in the comments. I'm telling you. Because if you're really doing the work, you are here. Not doing all of this crazy stuff. Oh, I'm a witch. I'm a witch. You know, I do spells. I do. Oh, I know all about the star seeds. Come on, man. Come on now. This is the land of the mud right here. This is where you get dirty at. We're doing the work here. We're not doing nothing else. I'm not saying we're not gonna ever talk about that type of stuff, because at one point in time I did want to, put, I reached out to a couple of people, on various topics, but it just wasn't a part of the internal magic way. You know what I'm saying? Because I just didn't feel like how that information that you guys are gonna get, how are you gonna benefit from it? And you know what? I'll hold off for now, and then maybe in the future we'll do something like that. But at Internal Magic, we in the mud. We doing the dirty work, because this is all spiritual. You want to manifest, don't you? Come on over, like and subscribe, baby. Come on over. We'll take it. We taking everybody. You ain't got to come in with $1 million. You can come in with it's free with just a subscription, just subscribing and liking. You don't need no money. Hey man. But anyway, so the subconscious doesn't react. Now, when you operate, because you're gonna go, you in situations in life, you're jumping from some subconscious to conscious, subconscious back to conscious, depending on what scenario you are in. That's when you're balanced. You know what I'm saying? Letting when the spirit, when you're in situations, now you letting the subconscious take over, and let it do its thing. Let the spirit take over. Boom. You like, oh, you ain't realize it. Like, dang, you just, you know, the situation within that you was in, you came off on top. When you driving in traffic, the siege is parts for you, and you running late to work because you operating in the subconscious, right? So you know, you know, as we begin to move closer, and I personally feel we are already in the new Earth frequency. If you're not even operating in the subconscious now, no wonder you keep getting hurdle after hurdle. It's time for the spirit now. Like, come on, we not playing no more. No, it creates now here where's things. It creates now here where things get interesting, right? The subconscious isn't limited to reacting. It's where imagination lives, right? This is how we building up our imagination. Intuition lives here. Dreams live here. Symbols live here. Pattern recognition lives here. When you start operating from this deeper place, you stop asking what's happening to me. You start asking what is what is trying to emerge through me. That's a completely different life. Have you ever noticed one person loses a job and immediately says, "My life is over," and another person loses the same job and says, "This is pushing me toward what I'm supposed to be building anyway," and says, same event, same operating system. One is trapped in the conscious reaction or in a conscious mind. The other one is responding from a deeper center, which is will be the subconscious mind. You know what I'm saying? You got to always be in the subconscious mind. Trust me, that's how you're gonna benefit. You're gonna reap the positive, results from this new earth. This is how you're gonna reap the benefits, the blessings. This is how you're gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Why spirituality practice changes your reality. People think meditation is about relaxing. Uh-uh. Meditation teaches you don't have to obey every thought. Prayer isn't just asking, it's aligning visual visualizations. Because remember, we working on our imagination. You know, no pretending. It's training your inner world to become familiar with a possibility before it appears outside. Every spiritual discipline is slowly shifting the you know the driver's seat from fear to trust, from reaction to creation. You know what I'm saying? And protection. It isn't about escaping problems, people. You know what I'm saying? Let's the word protected, right? Think, I'll never have another problem. That's not what I mean. Protection means you stop letting every problem become your identity. You lose a job, instead of just saying I'm finished, you just ask yourself, what door had just opened? You experience rejection. You experience rejection instead of saying, am I not enough? You ask, what was the what was this trying to redirect me towards? Protection begins inside. It changes your relationship with life. Come on, man. You know, Imagine two people walking through the same storm. One spends the whole walk, screaming at the rain. The other, it notices the rain is filling the reservoirs that will feed the city for months. Same rain, different consciousness. You see how this thing works? Is you have to start whenever you're in your situations, you need to be operating from the subconscious mind. I'm telling you, that's the only way you're going to be able to navigate properly out here, right? Two different consciousness, same scenario. How are you thinking? How are you thinking when you in your everyday scenarios? Because or that tells me, yeah, how you operating. Just ask yourself, how am I operating when I'm in these situations? When I'm at the job, when I'm at the grocery store, when I'm over at the family gathering, when I'm with my significant other, which mind am I operating off, the subconscious or the conscious? Because that's the reason why a lot of relationships fail too, because you got one person operating on a conscious level, the other person operating on the subconscious level, and they both is going to naturally create friction. Just all kind of problems are going to start coming up and manifesting. That's just the way this things work. So I'm just trying to give you guys the playbook because I ain't heard it nowhere else, but you heard it here first. So I don't want to hear nobody copying. I've been seeing some copycats out there, but I ain't, I'm just gonna run with the sauce. But I'm telling you, you heard it here first. You know what I'm saying? Manifestation, right? Manifestation changes when you change, right? People think manifestation is about asking harder. Nope, nope, nope. Manifestation changes when your inner thought state changes. Manifestation changes when your inner state changes. The conscious mind chases. The sub the subconscious mind attracts. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't gotta be worried about it. You know what I'm saying? If she want me, she gonna come to me. You know what I'm saying? When you operate on the subconscious mind, you're a magnet. Everybody want to be around you. They want to see the sauce. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just telling you what it is. You know, subconscious attracts. Why? Because you're no longer trying to convince yourself you're worthy. You already know you the shit. You're becoming someone who naturally acts from, that identity, right? A confident person doesn't perform confidence. They move differently. You know what I'm saying? Life hit differently for them. You know what I'm saying? Life just hit, be hidden, hit, 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 hit. It just hits different. Trust me, man. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Subconscious ain't no joke. You know, it differently. For real, for real. For real, for real, Jack. You got to leave the old operating system behind. Every generation reaches a point where an old way of thinking is no longer it no longer works. Maybe you've noticed it. I know I have. The things that used to motivate you don't anymore. The conversations you used to enjoy, them joints feel empty now, don't they? You be like, God, I want to talk about this, man. Let's this ain't this up. Okay, so because you notice the entertainment that once distracted you doesn't satisfy you anymore. Sometimes people call this awakening. Psychology calls it transformation. Hey, don't knock it. Whatever language you use, something inside you is changing. The invitation is to stop living only from reaction and begin living from deeper awareness. You know, okay. So before, we can just every day. So every day we gonna practice before reacting today. We're gonna pause. We're gonna ask ourselves, is this my survival mind speaking or my deeper self? Or better yet, is this my conscious mind reacting or my subconscious mind, what I'm saying, taking over? You know, which one am I using in this moment? You know what I'm saying? So Before making a decision, just sit quietly for 5 minutes and notice what fear says. Notice what wisdom says. You know, journal your dreams. Pay attention to repeating symbols. You know what I'm saying? Observe your emotional triggers. Not to judge yourself, just to understand yourself. That's all it is. You got to know why you pop off all the time. You don't want to know that? So that way you don't be in scenarios where you got to pop off on people. If you know you like slapping the shit out of people, then you need to know why you like slapping the shit out of people. And you got to know why, what triggers you. And and so that way you don't put yourself in those scenarios. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah, this is what it's all about. You got to do the work. You got to understand you. You have to understand you, because that's what this is all about. Building up our imagination, building up our mental, you know what I'm saying? Going within. That's what we working on. We trying to get to know ourselves. Hey, who you want to know better than you? I don't even understand this. How is this a hard thing? But we're gonna learn together though. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. This is what this is all spiritual. I'm telling you. Whew, man. So on the altar, right? What you can do tonight is just place a mirror on your altar. Not because the mirror has power, but because it reminds you that the first world you are transforming. Just letting the first world you are transforming. But just know that this is the one that is inside of you, right? Light one candle. Sit in silence. Give me 10 minutes. I'll be trying to tell y'all. I go meditating every day. I didn't do it today though, but I go meditating every day at the park from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. If you want me to live stream it, just let me know. Give me 10 minutes. You gotta give me 10 minutes. Sit in silence. You know what I'm saying? Ask yourself, what part of me has been surviving that is now ready to start living, to be in the subconscious level, to be led by spirit, to let the spirit do its job. Don't rush the answer, right? Just let it come to you. So, but yeah, man, whew, family, maybe the greatest shift isn't happening somewhere out there, right? The greatest shift is not happening out there. Make every decision, every time someone chooses awareness over reaction, every time someone becomes less controlled by the noise outside and more anchored in